from down under. Not from under, but down under. Excited to announce this for my international followers, especially. You go global or you go home. So our superhero guest is an award-winning journalist. She's a comedic talk show host and an Australian celebrity. Everybody, I'd like to welcome our guest today, Ginni Sasaswarti from The Ginni Show. Ginni.
Hello, E. Hello, everybody. Nice to join you tonight.
Oh, I'm just so excited that you could be here to join us. Of course, you're visiting in New York, so our time schedules worked rather well.
It did. Go Eastern Standard Time.
Right. Oh, I was like trying to figure it out. How do we do this? You're like, what, 9 hours ahead? No, you're like 15 or 15.
We're almost a day ahead in Australia, I think, because I think daylight savings happens. We go an hour forward on Saturday, right? So we're about 16 hours ahead. But that's all a New York minute when you do the
producers out there, let me just explain something to you. You have to be able to give your time schedule according to their time so that they don't get it messed up. But today it worked out because she's in New York. Hey, New York. Anyway, so we're just going to go ahead and dive right on in. You know what? Tell me, what was the catalyst to starting the Ginni Show?
It's actually been an interesting journey for me, Eve, because I was working in morning show radio with different co-hosts, and I actually started radio out on my own, and then I was paired up with different hosts, and then I kind of took a break for a while, then I went back on air. And a friend of mine a couple of years ago said to me, you should do your own show. You should have faith and just do it by yourself. But I think there was a part of me that was scared to do it on my own. Yeah. And I always kind of paired up with someone. I'm like, all right, this is good for me. And I think this is in no disrespect to the talent that I work with, and that's what they exactly are. They were talent. But I think for me, working by myself, I find a lot more challenging because I have to constantly push myself to be me. So last year I got the idea popped in my head and I thought, maybe I'll do it. And then this year came along and I thought, you know what, I've got to stop making excuses and just do it on my own. And funnily enough, when I made that choice and that commitment to go, you're going to do the Ginni Show, and I got lazy and I'm like, let's just call it the Ginni Show. And when I actually made that decision and commitment to myself, things started to flow for me. Like I had friends who'd say, look, I'll help you out with this. Other friends was like, I'll produce you. So, things kind of flowed for me when I made that commitment to myself.
That is really awesome. So, okay, I have to ask you a silly question.
Sure.
What do you think about Outback Steakhouse, since you're from Australia?
An Outback Steakhouse? I'm not sure about that. See, for me, the way I kind of, when you said that, Eve, the first thing I thought was people cooking steaks with the desert sun, like on Ayers Rock or something. And I thought, well, what a bizarre scenario. Look, if it floats your boat, if it's your tucker, go for it.
All the commercials are like, it's Australian, it's the Aussie way of doing things, Do you drink Foster's beer?
No, I'm actually I think for me, the way I kind of map it out is there's your two kinds of Aussies. There's your outback kind of nature Aussie who loves their steaks and their beers. And then there's like I wouldn't say snobby, but the city Australian who loves their coffee and their culture. I think I'm more the coffee and the culture. I love my coffee. I'm not a big beer drinker. I've never liked the taste.
Well, in all due respect to all of our Outback friends out there, I like Outback, but we're getting it from somebody who lives there. It sounds like it was a branding thing. So nonetheless, you have had the opportunity to interview some pretty impressive people. One that sticks out in my mind, of course, is from one of my favorite television series on, I think it was Showtime, The L Word.
Oh, yes.
Amazing writing in the beginning, but then kind of just nosedive. But anyways, you had an opportunity to interview Jennifer Beals.
Can I just say, between her and Sarah Shahi, I don't know which one I was squealing more about. I think Jennifer Beals, obviously, with Flashdance, and she's a huge icon.
Yeah.
The L Word for me, and I think for me, I was before the L Word. You know how there was a show called Queer as Folk. For me, that was a groundbreaking show because I think the Queer as Folk greenlighted the L Word. So I was super stoked when Jennifer Beals agreed to do the interview because I'm like, oh, what do we say to her? What do we ask her? This is, the Jennifer Beals. But the most humbling thing for me is when you get to speak to, especially the cast from the L Word, you realize that this show, and Queer as Folk, it's special because all the fans from the LGBT community will look at these shows and be like, thank you for releasing them, because I think that's the first time we've actually seen, for want of a better word, an uncensored life of the LGBT community. And Jennifer Beals, like, we asked her questions like, this was really interesting. We asked her, what would you do if you could turn into a vampire? She's like, I don't think I would because I like garlic bread too much. So I love speaking to, the Jennifer Beals likes garlic bread, and she'd even make that look sexy, I gotta say.
Really? Oh, wow. Oh, that's hilarious. Of course, my female gay followers, I'm sure, would all agree with me. You need to do Kate Minning. I mean, everybody wants to do Kate Minning. Let's say that, guys and gals.
Yeah, everyone wants a bit of Shane. I was Team Carmen, so I have a little bit of a rivalry with Shane. So once I get over that, absolutely, Eve, I'll invite her on my show if she agrees, but I'm very much Team Carmen.
I would faint. I would absolutely faint. I would be just like, I mean, because all the women just love her, and especially in San Diego, there were Shane lookalikes like on every block, and you're always like, oh.
You know what? I've got to say, when I used to be the clubber girl and you'd go to different lesbian bars or LGBT bars, there'd always be a Shane. Like, you'd always see the blazer and the alternative hair and I'm like, okay, here we go. Here's another Shane. It's like Spot the Shane.
Yeah. That's a good way to look at it. Spot the Shane. Oh, it's a Shane. But you also interviewed Katy Lang. How was that?
Katy Lang I was working for a LGBT station in Australia called Joy.
Oh, so that makes sense.
It makes sense. But the thing is, it kind of was an added pressure because when you interview a community icon like Katy Lang, like, we're talking, like, Jennifer Beals is up there. Katy Lang, in terms of that community, she's great. She was just a sweetheart. And it's just when you close your eyes and she sings, she's just an angel. And we're talking about the tour she was having here in Australia, and that was an amazing experience. And what I love is when you get to chat to different people and what they tell you, it may sometimes be off a press release or, it's coached by their publicist to what to say. But I find the interviews that I've had, I'd be very blessed that it just seems very genuine and authentic what the artist conveys to me. And Katy Lang was one of that.
Yeah. Yeah, she's an incredible artist. I just absolutely love her music and all of that good stuff. And, it's always interesting to interview celebrities because you would probably agree with this. They're normal. They're just normal, everyday people. They put their pants on the same way as we do, one leg at a time. And, for talent, especially newbies or, green peas that are out there, if you're working on set where there is talent present, especially A-lister talent, you have to have respect for them. They do not typically, they don't like to be rushed in the limelight of things. They are there to work. It is their job. If you see them rehearsing lines, please do not interrupt them because you will kill your career. You will kill your career. And they will, I mean, it is always possible for especially background people, if you approach a talent, your agents should be giving you the education on how to react to A-lister talent when they're present. Because there is a protocol. If they approach you and they have a discussion with you, different story, no big deal, have a good time. But don't ask them for autographs. Don't do selfies. I mean, a lot of times they'll be cool, but they don't they don't typically like it. Would you agree?
I think absolutely that is industry practice, what you just said, and having friends who are actors in the industry and artists in the industry, they say the same thing. They don't really, they're discouraged from interacting with background actors, because we call them extras in Australia, but background actors, yes. And I think
call
also
them extras here too, but
yeah. So I would agree. I think for what it comes down to for me is I think it's just a respect of personal space, and a respect of, it's really a common sense thing. I mean, you can gauge when an A-list talent wants to interact with you and is responsive.
Yeah.
But I think it's a space that you need to be really aware, very self-aware, because there's a fine line between fangirling and professional, and if it's crossed, it's very hard to get back into the other arena. So no, I do agree with you, but I think generally with my friends that are the people that I know in the industry, they're quite open to discussing with people. But I think in a professional environment, they also want their own space and time to be away.
Yeah, you have to gauge it and figure it out, like what it is. But
absolutely.
When I was co-producing the John Kerwin show, we had a lot of talent that came on board, and there's a protocol. You have to just really, just like I said, greet them with respect and understand, like, they're not always interested in, oh my God, you're like the greatest thing I ever see when I was growing up. Nobody cares about that one.
Yeah.
Let's fast forward a little bit. So your show is an internet show currently.
Yep.
What would you say to people, because this, internet is huge. Internet is absolutely huge right now. And, a lot of the talent in the South Florida area are having a difficult time making a living because there's little work here. However, the internet is everywhere, and you can produce a great show, right, by way of internet. Give me your take on, trying to break into entertainment business by way of the internet.
This is the thing. I think we're now in a time that everything is so accessible because of the internet. I mean, shopping cultures change because of the internet. Even basic human interaction has changed because of the internet, for the better and sometimes for the worse too. I mean, I think you could say the internet in some ways has increased interactivity and also decreased it in other levels. But I think for me, the life of a creative, or if you want to do your own project, for want of a better word, it's about also, I don't know if you've read the book from Elizabeth Gilbert called Big Magic, where she talks about how you kind of have to get over that fear of being creative, or the fear stopping you from being creative. What I found in my journey especially is I sometimes still do this. I have to juggle a lot of projects. If I want to fund one thing, I've got to work another job. And Elizabeth Gilbert called this eating the shit sandwich. And for an actor, it's the same thing. Sometimes for an actor, you've got to relocate in areas that your friends and family are. That's part of the shit sandwich. But for me, I kind of accepted and warmly embraced that if I want to really live my creativity and passion until that becomes my main source of income and my main source of well-being and living, I'll have to do other jobs, and I'm happy doing that because for me, this talk show, or I'm very lucky that it comes in 4 different apps and you can access it anywhere in the world. For me, that is more satisfying and fulfilling, even though I have to work another job on top of that to make sure the other one's okay. For me, that's satisfying. And I know this is cliche. A lot of people say that, why are you stressing yourself out? I'm like, I'm not stressed. It's just more time. Yeah. And I think if you dedicate some time each day to your project that you love, whether it be your podcast, whether it be your acting work, sometime each and every day, it has to grow. It absolutely has to grow. Like, it has to evolve into something. It would be very unlikely that it wouldn't.
Yeah, that's true. And I think, so many people in different parts of the world, per se, you can afford to buy a decent camera and a slight audio kit, something simple, labs, whatever, and lighting, an easy lighting kit. You can make some really incredible stuff with that. But you got to have great editors too. So
Absolutely. You got to have a great team behind you.
yeah, I mean, editing is not my favorite thing. I do enjoy it, but it's definitely not my forte. So, okay, so tell me, like, who was your most challenging guest and why?
Ooh, challenging guest.
And if you don't want to disclose names, you could be like, guest A.
Actually, to be honest with you, I have interviewed quite a wide array of international guests, so local Australians to international guests. I have to say the international guests have been fantastically humble. I had one particular local Australian guest. She was well known in the music scene, well known in the fashion scene. She's quite a popular blogger and that kind of thing. I interviewed her, I think it was about 7 years ago. And I remember when she walked into the studio, this is when I was doing my morning show, her energy was just like, I'm just here because I have to do this. And it was very disengaging. And for me, I'm like, okay, I find it really, for me, I don't know if it's the rescuer energy in me, but I just want to make sure that they're okay. So I started talking. I'm like, hey, how you going? Got nothing. Like, good. I'm like, all right, you do your thing, you do you. And then my other two co-hosts tried to warm her up too. Didn't work. And I thought, okay, I found it to be a little bit disrespectful because not only are we investing time in her, and I understand she's investing time in us as well, but it's kind of like, if this is part of your job. So not only was it unprofessional, but it was also a little bit disrespectful. And that's what I find when you see artists, those who are the most respectful, I find that as karma states and as universe states, it comes back to you. Yeah. This particular artist, let's just say 3 years later, I haven't heard much from her. I'm not basing that on our interview, but I have heard from the scene and the radio host scene that she's quite like that generally. I'm like,
I think you touched on something that was extremely important, and a thought crossed my mind here is that you said something about being humble. And what I would really like to point out is that seems to be a universal thing in the business across the board, being humble. Just to give you an example of what we might mean by humble, I had a good friend ask me to help him find some work, and he sent me a resume, and I forwarded that to some very prominent people that I know to try to give him a hand. He didn't even say thank you. It's like, really? What? Okay, so why would I be wanting to waste my time on somebody like that? And, a simple thank you, showing people the gratitude, having the respect for somebody like, this talent obviously was not exercising that. That's huge. That's huge. And it doesn't matter if you're a big fish in a little pond or a little fish in a big pond. Being humble, having humility to say your thanks to somebody else for giving you a hand or helping you out, or just being gracious in general to the universe that you got to work on a project.
Exactly. That kind of thing, what you just touched on there, Eve, it's very refreshing when you do see that in the industry. It's also very disheartening when you don't. So when you do get a taste of both, you can tend to appreciate those who are a little bit more humble and show that humility a little bit more. And I think, and it's, for me, I'm kind of a believer in, I know the Western society defines karma as you do bad, something bad will happen to you. It doesn't quite work that way, I think, from what I've learned. I think it's the intention you put behind it. So if your intention is, I don't want to be here and I don't want to waste my time talking to these people, well, it may turn out that way, that down the track you won't even have to worry about spending time with these people because you've lost your job. Yeah. But, a simple thank you and remembering those basic kind of human qualities is that makes you human, to say thank you. And thanks so much for passing on this to me, because you didn't have to take your time out to do that for that person. And you did, just because you wanted them to be successful. And you know what, Eve, you doing that, passing their resume on, you're giving them a chance of getting work. That feeds them. That puts a roof over their head. That helps whoever they're involved with, their children. So kudos to you to have that intention and to do that.
Oh, I won't do it again. Wait till I talk to that bitch. Like, oh, no, I ain't helping you. You on your own now. So what about who was your favorite? Who was your favorite interview?
Oh, my top three. It's always very hard to narrow down three, but my top three. I loved interviewing Martina Navratilova because it was around the time she got engaged to her current wife, and I know she's been someone who's fought for marriage equality for so long. And, she's an absolute icon tennis player and a community icon too. So I was very happy to see that she found love and that she could, and now she can get married and make it legal across the land. Thanks to Obama. So I was very happy, and she was just a great person to interview because Martina Hingis, who I had a crush on when I was growing up, was named after her. So I knew about her before the whole lesbian politics kicked in. So when I told her about it, she's like, yeah, good. She's cute too. I'm like, thank you for your approval. She was fun. And then the other two would have to be Paula Abdul because obviously a 90s sensation. I grew up listening to her because my sister's 11 years older than me and she was always on replay on our little cassette recorder. So she was such a sweetheart, and also another person who was so humble and very loving and warm when you spoke to her, and she was just a hoot to chat to. And then Peter Page, who is now the creator of The Fosters on ABC, he was on Queer as Folk, and for me, seeing him on that TV show, he was one character in that series that absolutely loved himself. And you don't really see that, especially around the time I was growing up, you didn't really see that in LGBT people. People who actually love themselves because there weren't examples of that. But when you saw Emmett Honeycutt and the way Peter Page carried him and the way that he's still, the things that he's doing for our community, those top three, that was for me.
That is really cool. Here's my impression of Paula Abdul. Okay, ready? When she was on American Idol. It was perfect! Oh my God, it's perfect.
You almost look like her.
Oh, no.
I got confused there.
Oh, no, I don't ever get that one. I used to get Pat Benatar every day, but I had really short hair. Now I have longer hair.
Yeah.
So what does your future look like? Tell me what you've got in store for the future projects. What are you planning on doing?
I'm looking, like, at the moment, it's obviously, I'm working on podcasts, which I release weekly, but I'm looking to do the Ginni Show YouTube down the track. I think at the moment, seeing as this is the first season of the Ginni Show, it's kind of like your appetizer season. You're throwing different little treats out for the audience, see which ones are more popular than the other. So season 2, I'm looking at making, having more specialized episodes. So there'll be the general theme episodes about a particular theme of creativity or love or whatnot, but in between I want to interview guests from different parts. They're not necessarily A-list celebrities, but I just want to talk to them and focus on them and unpacking their human qualities as well. So that's what I'm looking forward to do. And I want to get a panel of people together from different backgrounds to discuss a particular topic. So, I mean, we'll see. Whatever the audience wants, I'll put together happily.
Yeah, I think that's true because when you start something like this, it kind of ferments for a little bit and it evolves. I think that's what I'm finding with Ask Eve as well. But anyways, I absolutely think it's great what you're doing, and I'm so, happy that you were able to join us today. Now, if somebody wants to get a hold of you, tell us all the things you are available for, because you have a repertoire that is like, it's amazing, I mean, so.
Well, if you want to get in touch with me and, be a guest on my show, you can hit theginnishow.com, and all my social media handles are The Ginni Show.
I'm going to be on there soon.
Absolutely, you are, Eve. And also, like, if you want to learn how to podcast, and, it can sometimes be daunting because a lot of people find that they're very good at having conversations with others and they're really good at connecting with people, but they're not sure how to set up a podcast. I can take you through that. I can also, teach you what I learned from such great people in my life that I was very blessed to learn, that on how to take that next level, that podcast to the next level. I can teach you how to interview guests. So whatever you need in terms of podcasting, if you go to theginnishow.com, I can happily help you out with that.
This girl right here. Well, I thank you so much for being on board with us today. Of course, If you're interested in also being on the Ask Eve show, you need to direct message me, and you can find me by way of Ask Eve Now on Twitter and also at askeve.org. But I'm so blessed to have Ginni on board with us today. Thank you very, very much for coming on with us. And
thank you so much, Eve, for having me.
definitely gonna be in touch.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Eve.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, viewers. What up? Hey.